Hello everyone, what's up? In this video, we're gonna learn what is attribute binding, class binding, style binding, and how to use all these binding in Angular. So first is attribute binding. You all would be wondering why do we need attribute binding when we are already having property binding and data binding syntaxes. So let's discuss one example to make you clear why do we need attribute binding. I'm gonna take one image. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I will bind the source attribute with the property binding syntax, and let's just for now give it variable image and also give some width and height. For now I'm giving 200 pixels, width and height both. Now what we will do is the variable that we have used for binding, we have to declare that in TypeScript file. So I've already taken one URL of image in the image variable. Okay, you can take your own URL of image. Now save your work and compile it. Let's see whether it is working or not. Although I know that you know that it will work, but for the confirmation, let's just check whether it is working or not. It's gonna take a few minutes for refreshing. Wait for that and then check. It is refreshing. So yeah, our image is working. That's great. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing that we did with source attribute. We will bind the width attribute with the property binding syntax. Let's see whether it is working or not. Take any variable to bind width attribute. For now I'm taking WID. Declare that in TypeScript file. Let's see whether it is working or not. So you can give any value to it. For now I'm giving 200 pixels, which is string value. Now save all your work and let's see whether it is working or not. Compile your work. It's gonna take a few minutes. Wait for that. Okay, now it's compiled. Go to your browser and check whether it is working or not. Okay, it is loading. Wait. Okay, as you can see our page is fully loaded, but still image has not yet come. So why it is not coming? For now I'm gonna do some change. Let's add some prefix to the width attribute. Let's give attr dot before the width attribute. Save your work and let's see whether it is working. Okay, so this is the syntax. If you want to use attribute binding, you just need to add attr prefix before the width attribute or those attributes for which you want to use. As you can see, now it is working. Okay, so why property binding was not working with width attribute, but it was working with source attribute? So to understand this, you first need to understand about HTML and DOM. So whenever HTML is being passed, it is actually converted to DOM, which is document object model. Okay, in this all your HTML elements are being organized in a form of tree. That means every HTML element has its own representation in DOM. For example, like image source, it will be having representation in DOM, but with some attributes like width, it does not have any representation in DOM. That was why property binding was not working. You can also try this example. You can take a table and try binding call span attribute with the property binding syntax. You will get this error that can't bind to call span since it is not a non-property of TD element. So you will be getting this error because call span does not have any DOM representation. That means attribute binding can be used with those attributes which does not have any DOM representation. Now let's understand class binding, how to use it. So there are basically three ways by which we can use class binding in Angular. First is by using class attribute. Second is by writing the class name keyword, okay, which is a built-in keyword provided by Angular. And the third one is by using ng class, which is a directive. In the later section of videos I'm gonna discuss directives, so don't worry for it now. So let's discuss all these methods one by one. First is by using class attribute. It is very simple. You just need to add class attribute and give the classes that you really want to use in your template. Let's use one example. Take a paragraph and give any string inside it. Inside the paragraph tag, I'm gonna add one class by writing class attribute. Inside it you can write any name for the class that you want to give. These classes should be declared in CSS file. So go to CSS and declare all these classes. I've already declared, so no need to worry. Okay, so yeah, now just save all your work and compile. Let's see whether it is working or not. It's gonna take few minutes. Okay, now open your browser and check whether it is working or not. Okay, wait for some time. So yeah, it is working. So this was the first method to bind the classes. Now next method is by writing class name. Just write class name and use property binding syntax with it. And these classes you should be giving in single inverted commas inside the double inverted commas. Okay, so this is a particular way to give classes inside the class name keyword. Now let's save your work and compile it. Let's see whether it is working or not. So yeah, it is working. So this was the another method to bind classes. Okay, you can also give any class inside it. Okay, any variable that you would be declaring in TypeScript file. So how to do that? Take any variable, go to TypeScript file and declare any string over there. For now I'm giving same classes that I used earlier, but this time I'm binding the TypeScript variable with the template. Okay, let's save it and let's see whether it is working or not. After compilation, open your browser and check. Let's see whether it is working or not. Okay, yeah, it is working. So that means you can also bind the class name keyword with the TypeScript variable also. Now let's use another method. If you want to add conditions to particular class, for that you need to mention which class you want to apply condition for. For example, in this I'm applying conditions to the class red. Okay, so declare this variable that I have binded with the class red. For this variable I'm gonna give some boolean value true. So as you can see, this variable is true. That means our class will be applied. But if our variable has boolean value false, then it will not work. Okay, now open your browser after compilation. Let's see whether it is working or not. Because this variable has boolean value true, that means our class red will be applied. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, red class is applied. Similarly, you can apply conditions for size also. Okay, now let's discuss ng class directive. Okay, so it is a built-in directive which Angular provides for adding classes, for manipulating them, for managing them. Okay, so just add ng class and use property binding syntax with it, just same like class name keyword, and you can provide the classes inside the inverted commas like we did in class name keyword. Okay, everything is same, just keywords are different. Okay, save your work and let's see whether it is working or not. So yeah, it is working. Now let's bind it with some TypeScript variables or even classes you can also use. Okay, now we will discuss style binding. So how to use style binding for providing styles to the template elements. So I'm gonna take same example. So let's take some style to this paragraph. To add style, you can write style dot and then add any style name. For now I'm taking background color. You can also add font size, font color. Okay, so give any value to this variable, to this background color that you want for your paragraph. Save your work and let's see whether it is working or not. So this is a particular way for adding styles. You just need to write style dot and then any style name, bind it with the property binding syntax and give the value. So yeah, it is working. Okay, similarly you can also add font size, font color. Okay, you can add various number of properties after style dot. Okay, so this is a particular syntax, you just need to remember that. Okay, you can also use this particular directive which Angular provides. Just write ng style, bind it with property binding syntax. Okay, after that in the expression you can write any variable, declare that variable in TypeScript. Okay, and inside that you can give classes that you want to use, the styles that you want to apply in your paragraph element. Okay, so for paragraph I'm gonna apply background color. Okay, give any value, let's say red. Okay, you can also apply multiple styles, just write comma and then write another style name. Okay, let's give font size 50 pixels. Okay, so this is a particular way for declaring the object in TypeScript file. So declare an object and inside that object write the styles that you want to apply. Okay, now save your work and compile. Let's see whether it is working or not. Okay, so it's gonna take few minutes. After compilation, open your browser. Let's see whether the styles are applied or not. So we have applied background color as well as font size. Let's see whether it is working or not. So yeah, it is working. So in this video you learned style binding, class binding and attribute binding. Thank you.